Today I'm going to show you how I made these really cool pendants using clay, mica powder from Lindy's Stamp Gang, and Earth Art International's red rubber stamps. Let's get started. For this project I'm using Fimo soft clay. You're going to need some mica powder from Lindy's Stamp Gang. Any color is fine. I'm going to use the Sparkle Red Reflections. You're going to want a small piece of clay to work with. I'm just using a little craft knife to cut the clay, but you can certainly use anything you have laying around the kitchen. Once the clay is nice and soft, you want to go ahead and start adding some of the powder to your clay. You can add a generous amount. Just remember that the color is going to fade a little bit when you first start because you're working it into the clay. I like to start by rolling it up, moving it around, getting it soft again, kind of getting the color to come out in the clay. You may notice that the clay kind of starts to fall apart, but the more you work the mica powder into the clay, the more you'll see it take its shape back again. Once you're happy with the consistency and the color, simply roll your clay into a ball and we're going to start the stamping process. You're going to want to use a red rubber stamp for this technique because if you use the acrylic, the clay is actually going to stick into the little crevices of the clear acrylic stamps. So for this, I'm going to take my stamp block and I'm actually just going to push it down because that's going to give me a really nice circle. You'll notice that the clay will likely stick to the stamp block, so just use a small piece of paper or a craft knife. You can just slide it right off. It'll come off with no problem. Now take your stamp and you're going to position it onto your clay where you want the image to transfer from. Take your block and push it down. Make sure you do an even amount of pressure so that when you take the clay from the stamp, you can actually see the image all around. If you're not satisfied with the way the image transferred to the clay, you can simply roll it back into a ball and repeat the whole process all over again. Once you're satisfied with your piece, take some loose mica powder and rub it on the top. This will make the image stand out a little bit more while adding a little bit of shimmer. After you bake your piece, the loose powder that you just rubbed on will bake into the clay and it will not come off after it's been baked.